What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Go Talk with Marcus, powered by Poddex, fueled by GoFuel. This is the first episode in the beginning of year 3 now of Go Talk with Marcus at this point. It's been a great ride. Had to bring on my guys, Derf and Dylan, of on and off the field to talk some Buffalo Bills. As we are, I want to say, this is episode 25 of 32 of the NFL teams for the offseason. So we're almost done. Had to talk about the Bills and the Bills Mafia, and there's a lot of great things to talk about for the Buffalo Bills. And just as a disclaimer, I'm going to say a lot of great things about the Bills. It's not because Derf and Dylan are here. It's because I actually feel this way about the Buffalo Bills. I don't want you guys to think that they paid me to talk good things about the Bills. That's just not the case. Now, with that being said, what's up, man? How you guys doing today?
We're doing
fantastic. Great. We're here. We're about to talk about football.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, it's never it's hard to feel bad when you're talking about the Bills. So let's jump right out of the gate. You've got, Stefon Diggs. I think who's for some reason still a very underrated receiver at this point in his career. You've got Josh Allen, who played his ass off in the AFC Championship last season. In the divisional round last season. And what was just one of the best playoff games we've seen in a very long time. So with that being said, you've got Josh Allen, you have Stefon Diggs, top 5 wide receiver duo, quarterback duo in the league at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely think they're at least top 5. I think the number one, it used to be Rodgers and Adams. Devontae went to Las Vegas. So it's really like, where do you go from there? And Tyreek and Mahomes was another. I think in that top 5 category. I think I would look at Mahomes and Kelsey are up there. It would be interesting to see what the Chiefs do this year. But for the Bills, they got to be at least number 2, if not number 1. I think for Allen, Diggs, and I would even go to say that you could almost have Allen and Gabriel Davis as like a top 10 duo there, because look at what happened there in the divisional game. That's one thing with the Bills is that they're not, it's not just one quarterback, one receiver kind of duo. That's one thing that worked out with Brian Dable's offense last year, and I'm curious to see what happens this year. Is how well can Josh Allen spread the ball around? But for Allen and Diggs specifically, I think absolutely top 5, if not top 2.
You mentioned Brian Dable. Given that you are the Bills fan, are you slightly concerned about what the offense looks like going forward without Brian Dable now that he is now no longer there and he's the head coach of what some people are joking around and saying Buffalo Bills South because the Giants have brought in a whole bunch of Bills personnel and players. Do you think that there's going to be a slight step back as far as the production? Because this is the number 1 ranked offense last season and the number 1 ranked defense last season. But offensively, do you think there's a step back in production because now you're going to have a new guy calling the shots offensively? Or do you think Allen and Diggs and all these guys offensively are just so great and they're such a cohesive unit that it won't matter? They'll still be towards the cream of the crop as far as offenses are concerned this season.
I definitely think I don't see really any step back. They might be working. Maybe they're working on some things out during the training camp and preseason. I don't have any doubt in Ken Dorsey. He's been there for a while. He worked with Josh Allen, as a quarterback's coach before getting offensive coordinator. So I think the offensive unit has just really meshed well together. And I think I don't think Dorsey's changing that much from what Daboll had originally there and what made this offense number 1 in the league. So I really don't see a setback. It could be preseason when they're working things out, trying to figure out roster. You could see some issues there. But absolutely excited for the week 1 to see what this offense does.
Dylan, where are you on Diggs and Allen and what the offense looks like heading into week 1?
I think overall, like what you said with Diggs being underrated, you don't have to really look much further than just the fact that they only put him as a 95 in Madden, which is 1 tick below DeAndre Hopkins, who, to be fair, has not done jack since being in Arizona, with
I
exception
don't have
to what he
DeAndre
did to
Hopkins
the
in my
Bills.
top 15 anymore. I'll be honest. He's
Yeah, the
fallen all
dude
the way
is
out of my top
just
15. Yeah.
fallen so far. I mean, he'll have like one or two good catches that like make highlight reels, and that'll just,
Yeah.
oh yeah, this is D Hop. He's amazing. Like overall, though,
Yeah.
you know, Tyreek Hill's a 97. Good, he can run fast. Cool. Everything else is trash. Cooper Kupp is only a 98. That's just disrespectful as all hell. And then Adams is a 99. I think those two should just be flopped. Adams is a 98 and Kupp is the 99. But basically, what I'm saying is Diggs should probably be where Tyreek Hill is at a 97, and you push those other two down. Diggs is so good. But the fact that he's been quarantined to Western New York, it's kind of just like the Pacific Northwest with Seattle. People go up there and, you know, they're kind of forgotten about. The Bills are hitting the radar, obviously, a little bit more in the national media. They're getting a lot of primetime games and whatnot, but sometimes you forget about certain players. I feel like Diggs is kind of forgotten about. And this year, with Ken Dorsey becoming the OC, it was already a QB friendly system. It's just going to get more QB friendly. Ken Dorsey knows what makes Josh tick. He knows what makes the wide receiver group work with Josh. I feel like the potential is just through the roof for Josh, and especially Diggs this year. I think it might be number 2 behind Stafford and Kupp for duos.
That's fair. I think Stefon Diggs is the third best receiver in football. I have him higher than Jamar Chase. I've got him ahead of Cooper Kupp. I mean, the only two guys that are ahead of him are Devontae Adams and Justin Jefferson. And I think you can make an argument that maybe Stefon Diggs is better than either of those guys, more so Jefferson than Adams. I mean, I just pulled up Diggs' stats right quick. Like, he's had over 1,000 yards the last 4 seasons of his career. He's had over 1,000 yards both times he's been in Buffalo. More specifically, he set the record for most receiving yards for Buffalo Bills wide receiver his first year there with over 1,500. He's just such a productive guy. And I think what's happened is part of it's because it's Buffalo, and Buffalo's hasn't really been one of the more sexier teams up until recently. But also, like, when you have a team that's always going to be throwing the ball because it appears as if they can't run the ball, they don't have a desire to run the ball, that like, oh, well, what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to have 1,000 yards. Yeah, like, you can say that, but Stefon Diggs is also really good at what he does. Like, there's not a route that Stefon Diggs can't run. You can line him up outside. You can put him up inside. Like, he is just that good as a wide receiver, and I think he's only going to continue to get better, which is kind of crazy to think because he's already a cream of the crop kind of guy. When you look at as far as where they rank as a duo, I mean, and it hurts me. It does. You know, there's no more Rodgers and Devontae because Devontae's in Vegas, and so, you know, that is a duo that was number 1, I think, but now, you know, doesn't exist anymore. You've got I'm in the minority here. I never really considered Tyreek Hill and Patrick Mahomes like the duo in Kansas City. I always kind of deferred to it as Pat Mahomes and Travis Kelce, but like that still is a strong doing. But like aside from that one and aside from Matt Stafford and Cooper Kupp, I don't think that there is a better duo in football right now that you would take over these two. I mean, you know, you can look at, you know, your Joe Burrows and your Jamar Chases. You can obviously take a look at Tom Brady and Mike Evans now that he's back in Tampa Bay. But I mean, the only duo legitimately that I would have to take ahead of them, no doubt, is the duo that won the Super Bowl last season, and that's Stafford and Kupp. All the other duos that exist, no matter how lethal they are, I can't really just look at it and say, yeah, well, okay. I think Josh Allen's the best quarterback in football. I don't really think it's close, actually, which is ironic to say as a Packers fan who hosts the 2-time back-to-back MVP. I don't think I don't see really. I don't know if there's anything that an Aaron Rodgers can do. No, not I don't think. I know there's nothing that Aaron Rodgers can do, or nothing that Patrick Mahomes can do, or even Tom Brady can do that Josh Allen can't do. Like, he can make all the throws. He's gotten better at being calm under pressure. And I mean, like we saw in the division round, he was such a steady hand as the game got crazier and crazier with less time on the clock. Like, there's not many quarterbacks I would pick in that situation, young quarterbacks at that, to be steady and go toe to toe in what has been historically considered the last couple of years a very tough place to play playoff football, and just hanging there down to the wire. We're talking about a guy who probably is playing in and likely winning the Super Bowl if his defense can just stop the Chiefs for 13 more seconds. Like, that's just how great he is. So,
I mean, he can even beat the 49ers. It's crazy.
That is true. I don't even know. I mean, geez, that is 100% true. I can't even like. I tried to speed past it, but I can't. It hurts. It's the sad reality. It's the truth though. It's fine. So let's move on from offense. Let's focus on the defense. I mean, on paper, it's a massive pickup of Von Miller, obviously, because he is on the team that just won the Super Bowl, and he's Von Miller. He's got 2 rings. He's a former Super Bowl MVP. But Fred, you're the fan, so I mean, you have a much more authentic approach on how this feels. Or are you excited about Von Miller joining the defense? Do you think Von Miller moves the defense a needle defensively? I mean, this is, again, like I said earlier, this is the best defense in football last season. So I mean, there's not much needle to be moved from the best. But like, what is your reaction? How do you feel that Von Miller will fit in? What do you think his role will kind of be on this defense heading into this season?
So I was definitely absolutely shocked when I heard the news. First thoughts were, did the Bills really need him with how good the defense was last year? I think with the addition of him, though, also brought in a lot of team-friendly contracts for former players like Jordan Phillips, Shaq Lawson. I think it absolutely made Buffalo a destination for defensive players. And I like Von Miller as a player. I think he's done some great things. He did great things with Denver, especially when Peyton Manning was there. He stepped in and helped this LA Rams team, get it done this past year. I think he's going to have I would say a moderate impact to the Bills defense. I don't think Sean McDermott and Leslie Frazier want to completely change his defense. I think this is absolutely Von Miller is going to learn the Bills defense, and he's either going to like it or they'll find something else for him. That is kind of how I feel about it. This isn't, Von Miller's in town. This isn't like what happened with Mario Williams years ago, where the Bills brought in a big name and, we have to change everything to fit him better. This isn't that case. This is absolutely, Von Miller is coming to be a leadership piece on the defense, where I think this might be a little lacking with the Bills, with losing Kyle Williams, losing Lorenzo Alexander, and Jerry Hughes, I think now is gone. So I think he retired finally. But that is, I think the leadership part of it will have much more impact than his play style, because the Bills defense tends to go on a much more frequent rotation, especially with the defensive line. But I'm excited to see what he can do with these young players. I've heard things with Gregory Rousseau and Boogie Basham and how he's kind of worked with them a little bit, and it's been, nothing but positive for this team. And I'm excited to see what he does. My expectations I don't think are super high for him right now. I just don't want to think he's going to change everything, because he doesn't need to. But I want his lead. I really want to come out of this is his leadership, and that's where that's the biggest impact that I'm seeing.
I mean, Dylan, he's not there anymore, but for an extended period of time, you had probably one of the better veteran leader linebackers in the game in Bobby Wagner. So you've seen firsthand as a Seahawks fan what it's like to witness veteran leadership in the linebacker position. Do you echo those same sentiments as far as Miller's impact, as far as being the veteran leader, given he's been to 2 Super Bowls, won both of them at this point? And this is probably a defense that was probably the thing that they were lacking primarily, is that consistent voice of veteran leadership that's kind of been there, done that.
Yeah, I mean, been there, done that, literally, because the Bills have never been there or done that. So, I mean, damn. Sorry about that. Yeah, I mean, the big part is just like the defensive line. The whole front 7 for the most part for the Bills is so young. I don't know if anyone here, like Rousseau, Oliver, Jones, maybe Shaq Lawson. Then you got Milano, Edmonds. I mean, it feels like none of these guys are on a second contract almost. I know some of them are, but not all of them. He can mold these guys into pretty much whatever he thinks would work best, whether that's more of a Denver style personality or whatever they did with the Rams. Whatever he thinks would be best for these kids, he's gonna figure it out, because he not only has he's been around the block because he's been on multiple teams. He's been on multiple teams winning Super Bowls. He's
Yeah.
gonna know what's gonna work for these guys. He's gonna know how to talk to them. He's not gonna come in and just like I'm a man. I'm a guy who won Super Bowls. You're gonna listen to me. Like, he's gonna listen to these kids, and he's just gonna work with them the best way that he sees fit. When it comes on like his on the field performance, I mean, I focus on pretty much that portion of it, the leadership and being able to help these guys become better pass rushers. Because even when he was with the Rams, I don't know, it just seems like his on the field performance has just gotten way too decliney, for the lack of better terms.
Yeah.
He did have a couple of moments, but he had guys like Leonard Floyd and Aaron Donald helping him out. He opens up a lot of gaps when you got guys like that. And maybe that can happen after, halfway, 3/4 way through the season with these young kids. They start stepping up and he can get in there a few times himself. Overall, they paid him to be an on-the-field coach. That's how I see it.
Yeah. I mean, Von Miller's well respected. I think Von Miller has one of the higher, especially defensive IQs that we see in the game today. And this is a relatively young defense, but it's also a really good one. Like it is, and really the one thing that they were missing was like that veteran leader. That, I mean, you've got Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer, which I think is a very underrated duo at the safety position. You've got Trey,
the best safety tandem in the league.
It is. You've got
100%.
Trey White, who despite dealing with injury, is I still think the third best corner in football. I don't know. I mean, he's just super talented. It's hard to deny the talent of Trey White, and you've got a really solid defensive line, and you have now, and you've bolstered the linebacking core with, if nothing more than just like that on the field coach, right? And that's kind of what you look for at a middle linebacker, is like that on the field coach that can kind of be the quote unquote quarterback of the defense. I think that's what Von. See, this is something you look at it and you say, sometimes you see these teams that go out and they pay guys to be that on the field coach, and you see a team like Buffalo do it so well, and then you look at your own team and you just wonder why they paid Randall Cobb to be that guy. I don't know, whatever. I don't get it. But some teams do it better than others, and
sometimes it just doesn't work out,
some teams make it work better. With all this being said, right, we've talked about how great the offense should be, how great the defense should be. I'll kind of tie these next two things together. We kind of throw around the term title or bust around a lot, right? And you hear it a lot, mostly with the Packers, because that's, I guess, the thing is every season the title or bust season. That's unrealistic, but that's just kind of like what it is. So at this point, do you think this is given what happened last season, given the improvements that were made this season, not just in free agency but in the draft? Do you think this is a title or bust season for the Bills? And if not, what's their ceiling?
Well, I definitely think their ceiling is Super Bowl. I think absolutely getting there. As much as not getting a title this year would hurt, depending on how this season plays out, I don't think it's title or bust for the Bills. I think the way they've restructured, the way they've worked their contracts out with all these young players and who they brought in, they gave themselves still a few more years to still be a really good team. Will a Super Bowl win this year, making it there and winning it, will that help prolong the talent on this team? Absolutely. But I still think they're the favorite in the AFC. And I as much as it might hurt still, I think they literally are 13 seconds from the Super Bowl, even though they would have had to play the Bengals still. Like, that game was just too good to watch only one team win. But I think I don't know. I don't see this. I don't see that Super Bowl or bust, but I do have expectation to get to the Super Bowl at least.
Does
I don't know. It's a weird answer.
Yeah, no, I understand. So I've been super hard on Lamar Jackson over the past couple weeks, and I've been getting all types of heat for it because I don't think Lamar
Well,
Jackson.
you're rightfully hard on him because he
Well,
sucks.
right, yeah.
I mean, I don't
mean,
think he's a top 10 quarterback, and it's been flooding my Instagram and Twitter mentions. So this is my philosophy, and I'll use Lamar Jackson as a comparison. That I'll ask the question right. Lamar Jackson's 1-3 in the postseason, right? The conference isn't getting any easier. We saw Deshaun Watson join the Browns at this division. The Bengals are obviously getting better. The Steelers are the Steelers, I guess, but like they don't really have a quarterback. You've got the AFC West that's flooded with talent offensively and defensively. The AFC East, while it will be dominated by the Buffalo Bills, like the Patriots look like they're kind of okay. The Dolphins are making moves, and the Jets could be exciting in the next couple seasons as long as they can continue to not shoot themselves in the foot the way that they've done for the better part of the last 2 decades, maybe a little bit more. I say that to say, if the Bills don't win a Super Bowl this season or don't, get at least back to where they were last season, for you is that a bit concerning, knowing that the conference is only going to get tougher because there's, if off the top of my head, there's 6 or 7, maybe 8 quarterbacks that are in Josh Allen's age bracket that have talent around them offensively and defensively and good coaching. Is that something that you are wary of, or you it's
right?
It's the Buffalo Bills.
I mean, I could be a little leery about it, but I don't know. I feel like this team is just not the sound off the deep end here, but they're just magical right now. And I feel like as much as we saw last year after Tampa Bay, this team took on anything and did what they had to do to get the job done up until that divisional round game. Now, if they make it to the divisional round and lose again, I'm going to be absolutely disappointed. This has got to be at least minimum AFC Championship game for this team. But yeah, I don't know. I see the point where the AFC is getting better. The AFC West, I'm actually not as worried about as maybe some other fans might be. I think we talked about on our show that division is so loaded. They are literally going to beat each other up and be, I feel like mediocre records. I think it's going to be very average records. You're not getting a 1 seed out of the AFC West because that division is so talent heavy. AFC North, I think with Joe Burrow and the Bengals, I think that's going to be a great Monday night game late in the season for the Bills. I could see that still as being one of their losses down the road in the regular season. But, if that was a rematch of the postseason, gloves are off, and I hope they put it to them. I'm not really worried about Deshaun Watson with the Browns. I think with him being off for a year, I don't think he's going to come back nearly as good as he was when he was still, Deshaun Watson has also only played, I think, maybe, I want to say only 2 years because he did have the injury as a rookie.
Yeah, he's only played 2 years. He was injured his rookie year. Then he played the year they went to the playoffs and blew the lead in Kansas City for 12. And then he's missed the last season. So, you're right. He's only played 2 seasons of football. He's been in the league for 4 years.
So,
kind of at the point where I hope he doesn't get suspended so we can see him play. And I really just hope he's really bad. That's what I kind of hope right now. Maybe suspend him 4 games and then call it good, and then just let him play and just let him be bad. That's kind of what I say.
Probably be bad. There's a lot of rust you got to knock off for not having played in a year.
Yeah,
that's really bad. They're going to stumble out the gate for sure.
How much has he really trained? Right.
Have you seen some of the training camp video?
No.
This dude's throwing interception after interception too. He's not there right now, but I mean,
well, maybe you keep your hands to yourself and you'll be better at football. I don't know. That's just I feel like that's just a general rule of thumb.
His hands too busy on other things other than footballs.
That's the problem. That is 1,000% his problem.
Yep. So, but he could be suspended another year. But AFC North, not worried about. AFC East, Dolphins can give the Bills some trouble, but I still think the way the Bills have played the Dolphins the last couple of years shouldn't be too much of an issue.
Yeah, that's fair. Makes perfect sense. Where are you on the Bills ceiling, Dylan?
I definitely think the ceiling is Super Bowl. I mean, there's no reason at this point, from what we've seen out of them, that they shouldn't be. Like, the team that stopped them last year was the Chiefs, and a big part of it is now no longer on the team. So that's, and then White was injured as well. As long as he stays healthy, that piece is back, and maybe that kind of stuff doesn't happen in that game. I just find, I think at the end of the day, if they get through the AFC in the playoffs and they make it to the Super Bowl, there's no NFC team stopping them. There's just not. And I realize people like the Rams could repeat. Like, okay, I mean, it's so hard to do. Everyone knows that repeating is just insanely hard. Even though most of the team is still together, just doing it is incredibly difficult. So even if it came down to Bills Rams, I just don't know who's stopping them. I just don't know.
That's true.
From the NFC side. So the only problem they're having is the AFC. And now I preface with that all set to lead up to, if they just keep losing in the playoffs to other AFC teams that are like kind of powerhousey, like let's say it turns into the Chargers, it keeps being the Bengals, Chiefs somehow still stay good, whatever. The Raiders become incredibly good for some reason. If it just keeps doing that to them, the Bills will just go down as one of the unluckiest teams ever, because now they've lost 4 Super Bowls straight. And then the time they finally got good again, everyone else in their conference got good at the same time. It's like the imbalance between the AFC and the NFC right now is just crazy.
I agree. We're talking about a situation where, we're just being honest, we might see the next 5, 7, 10 champions come out of the AFC. Like, that's just how
I wouldn't be shocked.
The AFC is. This is the I just put up the Bills schedule, and we'll talk about the record in a second. And I felt this way from the moment the record's released. So it's nice to kind of say this on air, out in the open for the first time. I don't think, we see pundits and talking heads, they kind of give their predictions, and Nick Wright verbally jerks off the Chiefs every chance he gets. So, like, he says that the Chiefs are going to have a really good season, and they just, like, you're a Chiefs fan, but yeah, okay. If we're just being honest, and I'm just going to be honest, I'm just pulling up the schedule. You've got obviously the 6 games against the AFC East. You've got the games against the NFC North. You have games against the AFC North, and then there's the Rams, the Titans, and the extra team is I can't find it. I can't find what the extra team is, but there's an extra team in there somewhere.
The Chiefs.
The Chiefs, thank you.
Right.
After week 1, which I think is a Super Bowl preview in Los Angeles.
Very likely, yeah.
I mean, if the Bills win week 1, the Bills are going to go undefeated. I don't see any of these teams this season beating the Bills. I really don't. Like, unless the Bills just kind of get caught napping on one of these trap games, like you've got. I mean, they gotta run the table of the AFC East from week 13 to 15, and that's sandwiched in between a game against the Lions and the Bears. I mean, so that's the whole 12 to 16. I can't look at it. First of all, there's not going to be, aside from week 1, there's not going to be a game where the Bills aren't going into the game favored. That's just the Bills are going to be so good. It's going to be scary. I have the Bills and the Rams going to the Super Bowl this season. I made that pick maybe 3 or 4 weeks after the Super Bowl was over. I just was like, yeah, it's going to be Bills Rams. And the closer we get, like, so, and Dylan, you said that, like, it's hard to see an NFC team stopping the Bills. It is. It's incredibly hard. But the only one that can do it is the Rams, because they have the offensive firepower, and they have 2 guys defensively that are the best at their position, and one of whom's name is Aaron Donald, and you've got to commit 3 guys on your offensive line just to stop them for half a second. So, I mean, if I'm being honest, I got the Bills going 16-1. It's just, I don't see. So I have to say, I don't think it's Super Bowl or bust. I do agree though, if the Bills kind of get to this ultimate bridesmaid point where like, they just keep getting so close, but they can't quite get it, that would be really devastating because this is a really talented football team.
Mhm.
A lot of young talent on both sides of the ball, and Sean McDermott's a good coach. I think he'll be a candidate for Coach of the Year this season. I do have the Bills going to and winning the Super Bowl. Like I think they'll have the first seed locked up by like week 9 in the AFC. I'll be honest, because to your point, Fred, like the AFC West is a lot of talent, but one team's getting double digits wins in that division, if any of them are, because they're gonna have to beat each other up 6 times throughout the course of the season. Like that's gonna wear on you. So yeah, I mean, we're talking about the only other team I think that has a shot as far as getting to the Super Bowl is a team that was in the Super Bowl for the AFC last year. That's the Bengals, because I think they're going to run away with the division. I think the seeding will kind of work itself out where we might see the Bengals and the Bills in the AFC Championship. I think some way somehow that'll kind of happen. I know they'll cross paths at some point in the playoffs, but this is going to be a scary good football team. And I'm not going to watch the Week 8 Sunday Night Football game.
Yeah.
For Halloween.
Going off a bye.
Yeah, I'm not gonna
want Buffalo.
Yeah, I'm not gonna want to watch the Josh Allen do pick my defense apart. But I'm just not gonna put myself through that stress. But I think the good thing for the Bills though is like the way their schedule's kind of set up is they've got a healthy mix of the way it's like you've got a good team and then you've got like a bad team and a mediocre. Like it just all kind of works. Like you've got Packers and you get to go to the Jets and beat up on the Jets, and then you got to play 2 teams that'll kind of be okay in the Vikings and the Browns, and you've got 5 straight games against teams that are probably going to be bad or mediocre to kind of like get like this is it's not a cupcake schedule by any stretch of the imagination because there are a lot of good teams on the schedule. But when you talk about like the playoff teams that are on this schedule, they all got worse. The Titans got worse. The Chiefs have taken a step back. The Pittsburgh Steelers have taken a step back. My Packers have taken a step back. The Patriots they're just not there. Like the only playoff team on this schedule from last season that got better is the Bengals. They don't see the Bengals until January 2nd, Monday night, the second to last week of the season. Like I think I don't remember. I don't know what year it is, but whatever season has the perfect season from the Dolphins, like they're not in that group alone.
Oh,
like
72.
Yeah, back when they went like 13-0.
Yeah, the Bills are going to join them most likely, especially if they can get past the Rams in week 1. This is you mentioned magic earlier, Fred. This has been a we're going to see a lot of magic from this team, offensively, defensively. Coaching. I think Sean McDermott has consistently gotten better over the past couple of seasons as far as coaching. I think he's going to give us a coaching masterclass as the head coach this season. Josh Allen, I think, is going to be MVP. Again, like I said at the top of the show, Fred didn't slip me $20 before the show to say all these great things. I just steal this. It's just the truth. It's kind of hard to deny these. It's the Buffalo Bills. I don't know. We're talking about a team that's got the best quarterback in football, the 3rd best receiver in football, the best defense in football, a top 5 coach.
Maybe one of the best punters as well.
That is true. We didn't really get into it, but I think that James Cook will be a nice addition to the backfield and kind of complement Devin Singletary really well in the backfield. They've got everything. Dawson Knox, I think, is top 15 tight end. They've got just like talent all over the place, and they're in a really easy division where they're going to run the table in the division. I don't see them dropping a game in the division. It's just. Jeez, maybe I'll be a Bills fan this season. I think just so I can kind of see what it's like to watch your
jump
team.
On the wagon, bro. The Bills are circling the wagon this year, man.
Listen, I mean, the last time I to the Super Bowl, I was 8 years old. I just want to get that feeling of like, I don't know, but no, yeah, I definitely do think that the Bills are probably going to go 16-1. Yeah, that's just kind of where I'm at. I'm sure that is probably a little bit too high. So if you guys have a more realistic record prediction, you can throw it out there. But just looking at their schedule, like I don't think it gets any more realistic.
Yeah,
it's really hard unless there's a trap or two in there. it's a hard thing to do. So like I wouldn't be shocked if the Bills don't go 16-1 because it's a difficult thing to do.
Right.
But like if I was to put money on it right now, I'd bet the Bills go 16-1 this season and just they'll lock up the AFC by week 9 after they spank on the Jets. We'll see Josh Allen go for what 450-6 or something like that against the Jets defense, and just he'll have the MVP locked up by that point too. I don't know. It's just the Bills are going to be a scary team, a very scary team in the regular season for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I looking at the schedule, I don't know. I give myself a couple heartbreakers. So I don't have them at 16-1, but I definitely am looking at 14-3. I do see like the Kansas City game or the Packers game, and like the Rams game and Bengals game. Like those I think could be nail biters, and I think those are ones that I think the Bills can absolutely win. But we've seen it before where the Bills get in these big, heavyweight games and it's down to the wire. And, I think it's just the cautionary side of being a Bills fan for so long. You don't want to give every game the W, I think, for me. And trying to be a little bit realistic. And I'm looking at, not to take away from what this team should be able to do this year, but I'm looking at 14-3 as my record.
I mean, look at those 4 big games. You talk Los Angeles, Kansas City, Green Bay, and Cincinnati. 3 of them are primetime games. Only one of them's at home. But like the Bills, like they come to play regardless. Like the Bills, especially like they've never been a team that like, sometimes we see teams that play really good at home and they struggle on the road. They play really good in prime time and they don't really do so well during the afternoon. Like the Bills are just good no matter what time or where they are. They're just a really good team. You're right. I think the 2 scary games are going to be the games against Kansas City or Green Bay, just because they're like 2 good teams. There's a bye week in there, so you could see some rust on the back end or like some kind of just zoning out on the front end as far as looking ahead to the bye, or being too lazy coming out of the bye. But no, the Bills, I hate using this term because I think it's a really lazy thing to do. And Michael Irvin, love Michael Irvin. He uses it all the time when he's talking about his Cowboys. Like, I don't like using this term, but the game against the Rams is a measuring stick game. So they are the champions of the league right now, and they are I guess you could say heading into the season the best team because they won it all last season. But like.
Right.
The Bills go to LA in prime time and kind of handle their business. I don't believe in more victories, but you handle their business and you don't get blown out, which I don't think they're going to get blown out. Like it's a tough loss or a strong win. We're talking about a really scary like Buffalo Bills season coming down the line, because the Rams are just really, really good. And like I said, they're the only team in the league that I think can match their offensive firepower, but also like can match the defensive intensity that I expect to see from the Bills. Maybe not out of the gate, but as the season wanes on, I really hope we get that Super Bowl because that's going to be a really good Super Bowl. That's best case scenario. I think as far as concerned, that's a really good ball. Dylan, what's your record prediction for the Bills this season?
I mean, it's kind of, I don't know if we haven't even done the Bills on our own show yet, but we managed to come to the same conclusion of 14-3. I have them actually losing week 1, and I think the main reason for that is Allen Robinson. This is like the start of his revenge tour. This dude has been like killed and buried in Chicago his entire career, and now he gets to play on a Super Bowl champion Rams team with Matthew Stafford. This dude's just itching, ready to kill anyone that gets in front of him. So I think he pops off and just is unstoppable. The Bills kind of get a little confused in week 1. They're trying to find their footing while the Rams are just ready to roll. So I think they take the L, but after that, they just kind of do their thing. They're just rolling off win after win after win. until they get to the Bengals at the end of the season. I did have them taking the L to the Bengals late in the season. I don't know where they stand seeding wise. They're going to be on the road. It's late. It gives me the vibe that they're going to struggle in that one. And so I had them at 15-2, but I have to throw in the wild card. I always pretty much throw in a wild card game for any team where they're just going to lose something they shouldn't. And I picked the Vikings. It seems like one where there's a potential for Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson just to take advantage of just the secondary, just do their thing. And then Dalvin Cook, there's a 10% chance that he might be healthy for this game. So he pops off. I just think that's the one I picked. Looking at all of them, that seemed like the more realistic one that could just like, I think the Vikings are a tad underrated. They're a decent team. They're okay. They got pieces. But it is also the Stefon Diggs, return game as well. So there's that potential for him to pop off too, to be fair.
Yeah. It's the Bills are going to be such. I know that I'm smashing the over every time on the Bills. I don't care what it is. I want Josh Allen over on passing yards. I want Stefon Diggs over on all of it. I'm smashing over every single time. I think it's easy money, honestly. I want them on the spread. They'll probably go undefeated on the spread this season too. I want all of it. I want the spread. I want the overs. I want all of it. They're the Buffalo Bills for a reason. So let's bring me in some nice solid Bills so I can do something with my. I don't know. It's
Bills
always
making bills, baby. That seems like a sports betting segment right there.
Absolutely.
The Bills making bills.
I think I'll just do one a week. All right. Well,
ghosts.
July's gone. Well, no, but someone just blasted a bottle rocket, and it's just, well, the July's long gone. Whatever. I just kind of took me by surprise there. Sorry. It's always a pleasure to have you guys on the show. Appreciate you guys stopping by to talk some Bills. Could you guys let everybody know where they can find you and all of your amazing on and off the field content?
Oh God. It's literally everywhere at OOTF podcast. It's the same tag for everything. So if you're just and we're the only podcast known as on and off the field. So I mean, if you search that, you search OOTF podcast. I mean, say, easy to find.
I wish when I first started my show, and this is just I've never told anybody. I've told a couple people this. I've never said it on the show before. So when I first started my show, it's Go Talk, right? I was like going through trying to like just see. I was like, I picked the name, but I didn't really do any research. You type in Go Talk, there's some Go Talk stuff.
Yeah.
There's actual shows about goats. Like there's doctors and farmers talking about goats. So I'm one of very few that's not talking about goats, but there's a lot like you go click on it, it's like this is how goats give babies. It's how you make goats milk. I'm like, that's probably should have thought that went through a little bit. But
some vetter farmers click and play on your episode thinking like, yeah, this seems like a good one to learn about goat hysterectomies. It's like, oh no, this is not the Bills. Oh no, this ain't it. No, wrong one. Oops.
Yeah, so there are any of you guys that have actually stumbled across my show because you wanted to learn about goats. I'm sorry if I've disappointed you there. I'm not a vet. I don't know anything about goats. I wish I could be of some assistance there, but I can't. I'm not going to refer you to any other podcast. I'm not going to do that. But I'm just going to tell you that you came looking for goats. I'm not the
You
goat.
can stick around and listen still.
Sure.
But you're not going to hear what you thought you were going to hear.
You're not going to hear anything about goats. I wish I wasn't such a disappointment there. That's unfortunate. But yeah, to you guys that did listen and actually wanted to listen to this show, I appreciate you guys for listening and watching. You can follow on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at GTP Marcus, on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio at Go Talk with Marcus. And like I said, this is episode 25 of 32 of the NFL offseason series. I virtually killed myself trying to get this out for you lovely people. And it's been a pleasure every step of the way, and I enjoy it. It's always a pleasure to talk to Derf and Dylan on and off the field, and they'll be back over the course of the season, probably before or after week 8, so that Fred can dance on my grave before and after the game. It's fine. I'll prep myself for it and kind of get ready for that, and just kind of give the the Packers are gonna suck. Jeez. That's tough.
I'm sorry, man.
Well, before
You
I
can join the Seahawks train of sadness, man. Just jump on board. We're all going to be bad.
It's gonna be a tough one. It's gonna be a tough one. But before I throw myself into a spiral of Packer depression, let me just get off here because you guys have been coming for that. So for Derf and Dylan of On and Off the Field, this is Marcus and Go Talk with Marcus signing off. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, you guys enjoy the rest of your lives.